when we're talking about actually doing troubleshooting going into these desktops, we need to be safe, right? As humans, we carry electrical currents. We could shock that CPU and kill the whole computer, right? Just by electrical static shock. So, in order to eliminate that, you may see some shops that have a strap like this, a electrical static strap that you could put across your wrist and now open that computer up and work in that motherboard without actually worry about shocking something accidentally. Now, yeah, you want to take your rings off, any type of jewelry. Um, some places have anti-static mats that we can stand on, and I've seen people do that. I even seen them take off their shoes whenever they're standing on that mat in order to just kind of bring the reduction of anything happening down even more. But remember this picture. Now, every place doesn't have this. You probably, every place just doesn't have that. Um, and I would say is more of people not knowing versus not wanting to have it. But these are the type of things that we could put in place to help us out. That could be a little bit inexpensive. All right. So when it comes to that motherboard, when it comes to the placements of it, we have our memory slots here. This is where we can put that memory. We can always upgrade our memory. So if we have eight 8 gigs of RAM, we can always upgrade to 16 gigs of RAM. We can always upgrade to 32 gigs of RAM if we wanted to pay for that particular storage. Um, that's not necessarily a thing that we always want to do, but it's possible. If you wanted to get a used computer and upgrade it with just the components in the inside, that's a good way of um, taking something that's inexpensive and then spending the money in the good spots in order to bring the performance up for it. The CPU is typically going to be on every motherboard, somewhere in the center of the motherboard, and it's going to probably have some type of fans around it or ducking system to keep the CPU cool. Remember, this CPU is going to be doing all of the thinking for your computer, so it's going to get hot quick. And so we typically put it like a little paste on it um, to hold it in place, and then you will have a kind of like a clamp over it to hold it down. But then you want to make sure that your fans, if we remember here in this slide here, our fans that's located here behind these perforated holes here, that is actively cooling our CPU at the same time because it's going to be doing a lot of thinking constantly. Now, our in and out port. So whenever you see I/O, that means in and out port. So either we're doing an input in or output out. Um, these things are going here typically on the edge of a motherboard. Okay. Now we talked about SATA storage. Let's talk about M.2s. This is going to be for your these are hard drives, right? Our SATA drives, but the M.2s are going to be typically for your smaller, thin form factor type of laptop. So we're talking about our MacBook Airs, even our MacBook Pros. These, maybe something that I would say a MacBook Air is probably thinner that would use an M.2, but MacBook Pro would probably be a little bit thicker to where you could put a solid state drive in there. But these are going to be spots for you to get a more up to date type of SATA drive for it, and it's going to be sleeker in order to have a more streamlined design. And like I said, going into uh, MacBook Airs, Samsung tablets, a lot of iPads, things of that nature are going to probably use these M.2s for their hard drives. All right, y'all bear with me. We almost there. All right, PCI slots. So when we're talking about the PCI slots, these are expansion slots that we could put in different video graphics cards and sound cards. So even though we may have the basic ones that come with our computer, we may want to upgrade that, right? We may want to get more of a deeper, richer sound out of our computer. Maybe we want to get better graphics out of our video card. This is where we can upgrade those things at here. And going back to my computer picture, our video cards typically look like these. And the reason why I wanted to show this picture again is because look how look how much room this video card would take up in the doggone tower. The tower is already kind of beefed up as it is. But to say that, we can try to put that at the back of that desktop, we're, it just lets you know that this is going to be much more than what you actually get. Um, when you get a regular tower that just has a normal video card in there. These video cards are built to maybe have their own dedicated memory. Um, you definitely see the obvious fans that they're needing to have the cooling mechanism not only for the tower but for themselves. So as we can see as a common thing so far is that fans are necessary when it comes to uh, high intensity work on a particular desktop. Necessity, because once it gets hot, man, it'll shut down on you. And then that's when we go into losing information. Um, do we have the backups? We essentially created our own denial of service type of environment, and we'll go over denial of service in Security Plus.